Hi, beloved friends. This is a little deeper video and a little maybe more challenging to understand. But if you get it, you're going to be so much more liberated. And I am going to put some heart technology on the Patreon, so feel free to join our group where we do go a little bit deeper, and I have lots of heart technologies there. So I'm titling this Cancer and DNA Activation, Your Choice. So I do get experiences in my life, people in my life and such, that help stimulate these insights more clearly as I try to really grasp how do I reach this person. And so I want to be very thankful to them. They are challenges, but I'm very grateful because it's because of them that I'm able to make these deeper, insightful videos and my books and stuff. So the aspect of our DNA. Our DNA is like so full of many, many, many different potentials. I mean, we learn this in what ninth grade biology, genetics, about all the different genes and which ones get activated to make blue eyes or brown eyes or, this height or that height or, those kind of activations. And that's kind of what we call nature versus nurture. But at the same time, it's the nurture that activates the DNA even after it's kind of what we call randomly chosen. And I would put a big question mark there and try to look into that a little bit more deeply as well. But the aspect of like height, for example, I remember meeting a man who was a son of two Japanese that were the Japanese parents were maybe around 5 feet tall. And this man was like over 6 feet. And he grew up in Texas. His parents grew up in Japan. He grew up in Texas, eating, a very high protein diet or whatever. So his DNA, his genes, were triggered to create a greater height and body than his parents. And if you think about it, if you're eating a lot of beef and dairy, which are full of hormones that are made to turn a little calf into a 2-ton animal, then those are the nutrients that are going to make that extra, substance to you. Now, everything I'm saying, I'm just touching the surface. You can do research on it more. There's doctors that have had real experience with their patients on certain diets, not necessarily just doing a controlled research test, which then you have to really question because who's paying for it? Is it the beef industry or the dairy industry or whatever? Because they always get skewed. But real life experiences that doctors just trying to help their patients are what I trust the most. And the idea, getting back to the idea of the DNA and the potential of your DNA, cancer, and choices. Now, let me start with ground zero here. Energy follows thought. Can you accept that? If you can accept that energy follows thought, then we have a common basis to go forward and understand the rest of this. And if you need a little help energy that follows thought. Let me give you an example. You wake up and you think, oh, I want to plant my tulips today. That's the thought. And then as you get up and do whatever and then go get your tulip bulbs and plant your tulips, that's the energy. So that's just a simple explanation. And energy follows thought, also follows Abraham Hicks' law of attraction. If you feel all men hate me, then that thought is producing the energy for you to get the result. So it becomes choice then. It becomes choice of thought. A major cancerous thought that is just prevalent around is the fear that I'm not going to be able to thrive. I'm not going to be able to survive. That's a thought. And energy follows thought. Look at how many cancers we have. I'm not going to be able to survive. I'm not going to be able to thrive. And you may be thinking that you don't have the money, you don't have the education to get the right job, you don't have whatever it is. That fear is a thought, comes from a thought. So actually, if you can catch your feelings, the uncomfortable feelings, and find out what thought is there, then you can see that there are other thoughts that you can have, such as the opposite to your thought. If your thought is, I can't survive, I can't make it through this. The opposite to that thought would be, I am surviving. I shall survive. I have support from Mother Nature. And then you get to choose which thought you want to pursue, and then the energy will follow that thought. So I'm thinking of a person I know that I actually dreamt about to get a really clear understanding about, who has a very kind softness, very just good, gooey inside, but has created this hard shell of protectiveness. And perhaps because of things that has happened in his life, he felt like he had to protect himself. And that is going to be another video about how we perceive things that happen in our life that create grief, a sense of grief and loss. And therefore, our ego defense is to protect ourselves. So that's another topic for another video. The result, though, of creating this protective shell, which is repulsing people, which is attacking people, and it's all about, it comes from this fear of experiencing what he has perceived as loss and grief and attack. And this is pretty prevalent. It's not just this one person. It's a lot of places. And it's how we've been trained and conditioned, in a sense, through media, the movies, the shows, TV, So one very clear choice you can make is to stop feeding yourself those thoughts. Turn off those detective shows, even lots of seemingly sweet little shows too. Just pay attention to the grief and loss messages in there. And if you want, just fast from it all for a while and get into nature. Nature that is the divine's message to you at all times, so that the divine may activate the DNA, the divine DNA in you. We have a blend of toxic DNA and of divine DNA in us. The toxic is what creates the aggressive, attacking. It's based on the fear of survival or thriving. And if you have any fear of survival or thriving, I highly encourage you going into nature and experiencing the divine messages. Also, of using your own mind to find the opposite to those thoughts and try to feed the opposite of that thought. So it may be, I'm loved. I'm just going to focus all day long on how I'm loved. I'm loved through the songs of the birds. I'm loved through the rain that's feeding my tulips. I'm loved through the trees. I'm loved through the sunshine. I'm loved just through the crispness of the air. Focus on the divine to activate your divine DNA. Now, you may feel, oh, this is weird. This is completely opposite of how I do things. Well, if you continue doing things the same way, you will continue getting the same results. So you really have to be honest with yourself and look inside and see, am I in my peace and joy and love and compassion and trust in bliss? And if you are, most likely you are feeding yourself with the divine thoughts, getting lots of nature, and you are on your right track. And if you're feeling any type of anxiety or fear or anger or frustration or any of those things, anything that's discomfortable, you've definitely got thoughts that are bringing about that energy. And that's what you've got to identify, those thoughts. And those thoughts of discomfort and anger and fear of thriving create the energy that ultimately manifests itself physically as cancers. And for those of you who have illnesses and cancers, you may be extremely angry at me right now. How can you say that I brought this onto myself? I'd never wish this for myself. You can be extremely angry and continue that thought into the energy it's going to bring. So that's why doing things differently is your only chance of getting a different result. And if you want some help, a book by Anita Murjani, who had stage 4 cancer and everything was shutting down in her. She had a near-death experience, but in her near-death experience, she had an aha and came back, and she's teaching that now. Anita Moorjani, Moorjani. Her book is called Dying to Be Me. And if you listen to some of my other videos, you see how I'm really trying to stimulate your own insight to the light and the beauty of who you are. This one is a little more focusing on those of us who've really gone down the path of activating those hormones that bringing us, activating that DNA, hormones too, that bring us the distortion. And it's everything that we're taking in. It is food. It is thoughts. You know, it's what we're hearing, what we're listening to. It's all working within us. How do you think your cells are growing? They're growing from the energy that you take in, even the sunshine. We know we need the sunshine that creates our vitamin D. You know, so it's not all like what we chew or what we swallow, but it's what comes onto our skin as well, what comes into our mind. It's the thoughts we choose. And if you have these negative thoughts, thank them for reminding you to experience the love more deeply. Because they can sneak in when you give them a space. So if you're constantly really looking at experiencing the love, oh, I've got a nice warm temperature in my house. Oh, I've got comfortable clothes on or beautiful clothes on. You know, whatever, be grateful and feel the love, feel the love. The more you feel the love, there's no space for these other thoughts. And, you know, sometimes we do get into situations that are so uncomfortable that we really feel, I got to do something different. This is like, I got to do something different. This is too miserable. And then be thankful for those things that stimulated the change within yourself, that stimulated that. It's always your choice. This is taking your power back when you recognize it's always your choice. You can be mad as hell at me for presenting this concept that you have brought on your situation, whatever it is. Or you can take your power back and you can allow that anger to stimulate your change within you, to make awareness within you, have that aha within you. What energy am I creating with my thoughts? And forgiveness is really important. Accept yourself as a growing child. We're all growing children. You know, so it's like, oh, now I understand. Well, when you understand, that's an amazing thing. And know that you have your choices of thoughts, your choices of how you feed yourself with the images. Turn off display screens unless you're getting some very supportive messages like this, and there's many, many more supportive messages. Those TV series and that stuff that is creating the drama trauma, that is an energy that creates drama trauma in your life as well. So listen to classical music, be in nature, talk to your plants, be with your pets, eat carrots, eat fresh fruits and vegetables, feel the love everywhere. Feel the love in a piece of fruit, right? The sweetness, how Mother Nature gave you sweetness. There's so much. And if you want to join my Patreon community, I have a lot of heart technologies there, little meditations and breathing techniques and insights as well. And you're free to join my heart yoga on Sundays at 11 a.m. Central European Time, which makes it like 5 o'clock in the morning for you on the East Coast of the United States. And that's on Facebook Live, Freedom Center, Sweden. Also, I'm on You Now, and in You Now you can actually have chats and conversations with me. And my hashtag is Starseeds, and my name is Suna, being peace, on You Now. So I am so grateful I could spend this time with you. I hope you can just breathe and really feel into your full potentiality. You have potential for anything, anything loving and beautiful or miserable and dark. It's your choice. It really is your choice. So I'll say, go forth in blessings until we meet next time. Feel free to join my communities where you can see me much more often. Blessings.